So with global, March is going to be stacked. Now, as of right now, the three-headed snake is back at it again, which is beautiful because, of course, in this raid, you guys are able to get the dupe skill page. So in the future, this will help out tremendously. So it's a nice way to get this back at it again. Not sure when the golem's coming back, so that way you guys can get your dupe stones, but this has returned. Now, obviously, it truly does kick off with Global's March content in 10 days time. So basically, I think next week is when Season 5 kicks off. And at that point, the March content for characters releasing, it's gonna all come together. There's a lot to look forward to, which is gonna make it pretty... Well, I want to say it might make it pretty difficult to summon. But in reality, if RNG is in your favor, it won't be as bad as some would think. But again, it's RNG. If RNG is on your side, then it could work out pretty nicely. Now, what do I mean by that? So, as we're all aware, and I've spoken about beforehand in a previous video that I did, where is she? So Charlotte and Magna. Oh, what am I doing? Okay, there we go. So Charlotte and Magna, they are going to be the next seasonals for, excuse me, next seasonals. I believe it's happening on the March 7th, right? Wait, am I right in saying that? Let me just double check. 10 days. Wait, it should give us in the notice. Let's just let me just double check. But I'm confident to say March 7th is when the March content, aka season 5, is kicking off. I'm pretty sure, right? Wait, summon. There we go. What was I looking at? Yeah, so March 7th is when all these bans are going away. Cool. Alright, just had to double check that. I mean, I could have done the 10 days plus, but whatever. Anywho, getting that out of the way. So Season 5 will be Magna, and it will be Charlotte. Now, thankfully, you can still obtain one of these characters through the Gateway Reunion. That won't change for Global. After Season 5, that is when things should be shifting to where JP and KI is at. But as Season 5 releases, you guys can still obtain and get one of these free characters. Now, truth be told, Charlotte is going to be the bigger unit here to get. She is, between the two, the better unit to get. So realistically, Charlotte, you want to get for free. Magna, if you're really interested in the whole burn meta, then by all means do so. Like, it's a character not to sleep on. This Magna is actually pretty decent. Although, with how things have come about with the release of Mereoleona, if you have Fugolion and his skill page, the combination between those two with the fire meta is up there of being one of the best metas in terms of with those two characters, and needing Fugolion's Greymore slightly duped out. Just an FYI. So that does kind of put Magna as a not exactly a character really truly needed right now, you know. But anyway, Charlotte is pretty much that character which a lot of people is going to be aiming for. Now, after Season 5, we'll talk more into that in just a second. After Season 5, if you guys didn't know, Fana will be releasing alongside, where is she? Witch Queen. Yeah, so we're starting to see it all kind of stack up now for Global, and this is all within March. So they're gonna make it a lot of tough, because you guys got to keep in mind, half anniversary ain't that far off, and they are stacking it up with the releases. Also, I don't know if I should mention this, but a rerun of a certain character is coming back. A character that is still top tier. He is still broken, he is still meta, and that's all I'll say on that one. But a rerun is coming, we'll say that much. But anyway, so Fana is pretty much, in my opinion, the best green attacker that the game has to offer. With her damage output, it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, as you guys know, I did mention how with these characters releasing, it's not as bad as people would seem, because with Fana, you really don't need to go for any dupes. So green mono, realistically, come March, are going to be on top, I want to say. That passive right there, along then with Charlotte providing with barrier, these girls together really are just green mono must. Green mono must. Now, furthermore, looking at the duping passive for Fana, LR+2, when 5 hatred stacks are on you, your HP is lowered to 1% HP, grant immortality for 1 turn, heal 50% HP, at the end of the wave. So basically she's working off from the 5 hatred, which hatred she can get from her first skill and second skill, and I don't think the ultimate applies it too. No, the ultimate doesn't apply it. So as long as you're consistently using the first 2 skills, she's building up these hatred counters, which are permanent, so they never go away, which is a plus. But essentially with her duping out passive, it just gives her immortality and HP play. There's nothing that enhances her damage, and if you max her out, when Taunt or Enhanced Taunt are applied, receive 50% damage reduction for 1 turn, cannot be stacked. So realistically, it's just providing her survivability. So just going for the initial copy for Fana, you are good to go. Build her up, give her the gear sets, etc., and her damage output will be there. She will be nuking her way to victory. That I can promise you, and I say this from experience. And we'll go into skill pages in just a second, because I will say, realistically, don't really need the skill page. I have the skill page, I don't even use it. I use the plus 20% on all attack. Then you got Witch Queen. Again, with my Witch Queen, she's at no copies. Or no dupes, should I say. I do have, well, then again, I will say maybe if you want to get the best out of her of being a healer, then you guys can look into maybe going about the duping side of things, which I'm also considering myself. So with LR plus 2 at the start of the turn, grants 10% of own max HP as HP recovery to all allies for each instance of continuous inflicted on an enemy. So once you want, so that's kind of like the big play from the Witch Queen when it comes to the DOT healing. It comes from the LR plus 2. So if you're really wanting to capitalize on actually making good use of her, actually providing heals, then you are going to need to get that LR plus 2 cooking. And then of course if you max her out, it increases the lifesteal effect by 100% on the special move. That's pretty OP. Now if you're solely using Witch Queen in support of Asta, then again, I really wouldn't say that you need to get copies. Unless you really want to get the heals going to make it a bit of a nuisance and kind of make the red monotone a little bit more broken and give her that support play, then by all means do so. That's kind of what I've had to deal with going against a red monotone that has a Witch Queen that heals. I've also done a video on it. You guys have seen me trying to combat it with like Leona's burn. It's super broken with the amount of heals that she can do once these DOTs do get applied. But again, I have Witch Queen, no copies, and I'm using her in support of activating Black Asta. That is the main function that I use Witch Queen with. And if that's the case, and if that's also what you're trying to do, just go for the initial copy. Would I say you need her Greymore? Again, no, not really. Again, Witch Queen, you can deal with 1 copy. Fana, you can deal with 1 copy. Now, if we're heading over to the seasonal characters with Magna, obviously with his unique passive, that's actually very, very helpful for burns, so that's not too bad. Now with Magna, it's kind of a 50-50. It's not like it's good on what his passive does, but it really comes down to on if this is something that you desire. I think that's kind of best way I can put it. It's where LR plus 2, if the enemy has continuous damage, or sorry, burn, sorry, then he can inflict stun. Like straight off the bat, he can inflict stun. Maxing him out gives him stun immunity, which is very nice, and it's on there permanently, so that's pretty helpful. But it just kind of helps out in the department of him just applying stun non-stop if burn is, well, yeah, if the burn is on the enemy, which is one thing you need to be wary of, then the stun can come from the passive itself on LR plus 2. Now again, will I say that's necessary? I mean, it's helpful, but for the longest time I didn't even have Magna at LR plus 2, and I will say damage output wise he was doing pretty decent. Again, he is a solid burn attacker. I can't knock him. Like, he's actually very, very solid in that part. But I wouldn't really say that this Magna is all that too crazy. Now that we've got the Leona and Fugolion combination, that is just way too disgusting to outdo right now when it comes to the burn meta. Charlotte, on the other hand, out of the 3 characters that I've just spoken about, I think Charlotte is the one that you might want to consider duping out, and that's why I say get her for free, so that way you've got that initial first copy. So with Charlotte, first things first, you know, if you're running all green, then she applies barriers from home for her own max HP. Absolutely insane if you want to rock the green mono team, hence why Fana, there you go. Now, it's the passive from Charlotte that's absolutely cracked, and it's the LR plus 2 at the very least you want. because on LR+2, every turn grants an ally with the highest all-attack a barrier equal to 50% of own max HP for 2 turns. I don't have my Charlotte maxed out. I literally saw this passive, I was like, I need this. So I went ahead and I got it to LR+2. LR+5, again, it's not exactly really necessary because it grants self-taunt immunity. She's just doing a ton of buffing, so yeah, I mean, that taunt immunity is kind of like a bit of a scratch on the head, if you know what I mean. But it is the second skill that really is truly what is kind of broken about her, with the support play that she can apply from that passive that then correlates to her skills itself when it comes to like the immunity buffs that she can apply on the second skill, the defense buff and the barrier extension, the amount of SP you can gain back. This Charlotte is a solo support for your all attack unit. So just to give you guys an idea on the Greymoors themselves, so with Fana's Greymoor on the second skill, she can apply Taunt. The Greymoor itself, if inflicted with Taunt or Enhanced Taunt, there is a 40% if maxed out 100% chance to grant a 20% to 40% increased damage dealt buff for 1 turn. I mean, in terms of duping it out and getting the additional damage off by taunting the enemy, I mean, yeah, that's insane with the additional damage that you can do. But because I don't have it duped out and I'm getting the 40%, well, I can just apply myself the all attack without having to rely on the taunt. And at times, I don't want Fana to taunt, you know? So that's why I kind of resort to just doing a 20% all attack. If I did buff it up, or max out, should I say, then I would probably, yeah, use it. Of course, why wouldn't I? That's an extra 20%. What? But again, it's not nothing crazily needed, and again, it's just buffing up her attack. And we've got a lot of Greymoors out there, and by now, hopefully, some of you guys have maxed out some of the attacking Greymoor, so that will do just as fine. Now with Charlotte, I would say out of all the Greymoors, you need Charlotte, because when it comes to that second skill buff, you're getting the debuff immunity along with the status element immunity. It's providing everything you desire. It's beautiful. And then the additional is upon taking damage from an attacker enemy mage, there is a 25, if you max it out, 100% chance to grant a 15, which is bare minimum, maxing out 35% reduced damage taken buff for 1 turn. Damage reduction, can't go wrong. You want Charlotte to be around for as long as possible, so there's that. And then of course with the Witch Queen, on her second skill, she HP recovery reduction, who cares. And then the passive, when hit by an enemy taking continuous bleed damage, there is a 40% maxed out 100% chance to grant a 70% maxed out 85% increased defense buff to all allies for 2 turns. Again, not bad, but I wouldn't say it's highly needed, although it's helpful in the side of, you know, the whole team just getting that defense up. Can't go wrong with that, but again, I really wouldn't say that it's kind of highly needed, to be honest. And then you got the Magna one. Upon attacking an enemy taking continuous burn damage, there is a 40% if maxed out 100% chance grants self 60% if maxed out 40% increased speed buff. And then on the second skill, he just blocks HP recovery. Again, not bad in terms of getting that speed going. That's kind of what you want from Magna. If you have him in that LR+2 side of things, you can get those stuns going off. But in terms of being an attacker, you know, if you've got Golons, if you've got some attack Greymoors, you're kind of chilling. And again, from the way I'm kind of wording it and kind of speaking about these characters, I'm kind of looking at it from those that don't have much crystals, and of course if you're free to play, of course. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Charlotte is essentially going to be the main character which you might need to invest the most in, and then the remaining characters, Fana, I feel like Fana and Charlotte are going to be the 2 units that people want the most. I feel like Magna might be left last, and the Witch Queen will be there to activate and have full control of Blackcaster's anti-magic, which is fair. But yeah, with where everything is at right now, and with what Global is thrown at you, with the amount of banners and characters dropping for March, prepare yourself. Charlotte, I would say, invest the most in, get to LR+2 at the very minimum, get her Greymoor, and at that point you guys are going to be pretty much solid with her. Fana, you need 1 copy, you really don't need a Greymoor. Witch Queen, again, you need 1 copy, you don't need a Greymoor. Unless you want to get the best out of her, then yeah, the Greymoor wouldn't be a bad idea, and getting her to LR+2 will make her a better healer. And then of course with Magna, solid attacker, don't really need his Greymoor. If you want the stun, I wouldn't say it's a bad idea to say not get the stun, but it's not the end of the world. He still puts in a good amount of damage and he's got the extra turn, so again, just the initial copy is fine. Keep in mind that once we're done with season 5 for Global, they should update it to where season 1 to 5 characters are more obtainable in a monthly basis. So if there's any other character that you missed out, for example, let's say you pull this, well, you want this Magna and you want his LR+2, later down the line you can work towards to get his LR+2 and whatnot. There you go. So yeah, that's what's happening with Global. Haha.